Pablo Torre is like a journalist in the sports world largely, who has been doing some really phenomenal work on his show and through his reporting. Pablo Torre finds out about the NBA and gambling in particular. That's mostly what I have been following. But I guess his show is also covering things like, our favorite tied for fifth place influencer, Riley Gaines, and where she's getting her money from. The fact that she's even in the news at all still is shocking to me, but you kind of see why, given what he uncovers here, because it's all astroturfed.
Yeah.
It's all astroturfed. Yeah. I mean, while, not to say woe is us in any way, but shows like ours or either other left-wing shows have to grow their channels organically, and it's a grind a little bit. Look at these people come out of nowhere because they're incredibly well financed. And so Torre did and also I guess this is with a Mother Jones reporter. I'm sorry, I can't see her name right now. Madison Pauly. This is their expose, I guess, about Riley Gaines and where she's actually getting her money from.
So Riley Gaines, like me, is in fact a podcaster, but she is also not just that. She is working for Fox News as a frequent contributor.
Riley Gaines joins us now.
Riley Gaines joins us right now with reaction.
Riley Gaines, she's America's #1 feminist as far as I'm concerned.
An ambassador at the Independent Women's Forum, Riley Gaines. Riley, good morning. Thanks for being here.
Riley Gaines is with us. Riley, how are you?
She's a political figure. She's a speaker on college campuses at Turning Point USA, formerly hired as a contributor. This ever-expanding resume. How enriching is it?
I hear that on this podcast you like tax forms. On page 45 of a filing from Harris County Republicans in Texas, this past June, $25,000.
But that's not all, by the way, because Riley Gaines also got a job as a spokesperson at the Independent Women's Forum in 2022, which helped her get directly involved in politics. Riley Gaines has now testified or appeared with politicians in at least 21 states by our count so far.
I feel frustrated. I feel betrayed. I feel heartbroken. I feel demoralized that we have to be here.
And on top of that, there was the grand opening in 2023 now of the Riley Gaines Center, a center which was founded at something called the Leadership Institute, which turns out to be a conservative nonprofit that has been recruiting and training right-wing activists for like 50 years. The mission of the Riley Gaines Center was very specific. It was to recruit other student athletes who had been, quote, harmed by zealots of transgender ideology.
Part of her job working for the Leadership Institute here is to go give out actual medals, Pablo, literal medals with the Leadership Institute logo on them to other girls and women who reject trans women in sports. Mini-me's of Riley Gaines, essentially.
And according to their tax forms, Riley Gaines, director of the Riley Gaines Center, pocketed $126,523 within just 5 months of her center's founding, raising this larger question of who exactly was funding this center named after a 23-year-old.
By going and pulling tax forms for other powerful conservative foundations, I was able to find one of these funders. And this one is the Dick and Betsy DeVos Family Foundation.
Betsy DeVos, Donald Trump's first term education secretary, who was also part of a very well-connected family, which is also why I can very safely declare that the family that owns the Orlando Magic are also the DeVos's and also some of the many dollars behind the Riley Gaines Center.
And
so Riley Gaines, like me, is in fact a podcaster, but she is also...
well, there you go. I mean, I guess it would make sense that the owners of the Orlando Magic would be comfortable funding a foundation with someone who ties for fifth place and doesn't really even advance to the finals. Or
I got some advice for the owners of the Orlando Magic. Worry about getting some 3-point shooting on the court before you try to fight this fight against trans participation in sports.
It's all those trans players on the other teams that are stopping them from getting to the finals.
Yeah.
I just think after decades of right wingers calling like liberals snowflakes, it's so funny how many people's like careers are essentially just this on the right wing, which is being paid multiple six figures to fly around the country giving out participation trophies.
Right.
To right.
Oh, remember that from the Obama era? The participation.
Like, this is what they do like now.
Yeah,
this is
the liberals want
now.
you all, no winners and losers, for you to have participation trophies. And these freaks are all obsessed with, like, getting
it's
a little
career now.
medal. Or,
She's a professional victim, literally.
Literally a professional, right?
Participating
Exactly.
in bigotry.
I mean, and for being a
love the fact
spokesperson,
that
makes her over 100K, just really quickly. That's clearly not her only job. I mean, that means that is just like basically, it's like being on the board of something. It's a vanity title where she maybe has to show up to 4 Zoom meetings a year. She's making money now. Like we were talking before the show, well, what's the shelf life on this? I mean, she'll make a couple mil right now. She'll become a property owner. Maybe she will become a small business owner or a real estate agent. And that will be her life at this point. But God, if my brain was still forming at that point and I was putting out this anti-trans garbage into the world, would I maybe think twice and like reflect on everybody thinking I'm a bigot and AOC calling you out publicly? I don't know. But I guess I think the money right now is that good.
Invest wisely.
It sounds great. It wasn't even a full year that was 6 figures. It was for like 5 months, they said. That's insane for what she does.
I think it speaks to like the times that we're in actually pretty starkly though. I mean, like and I'm not trying to make excuses for her personally, but you see it online all the time now. Like people who seem to have embraced the reality that the society we live in has totally like cordoned most people off from legitimate opportunities to make money or be successful in the way they feel like they need to. And one of like the only types of jobs that we have now that people can reasonably access, at least in their minds, is being a professional bigot. There are just tons and tons of people who are professional bigots now that model like that career path for impressionable young people who like, maybe have some bigoted ideas, but more than anything, they just want to be famous and like chase clout. And like, they don't feel like there are any jobs now. And like, it's leading to, I think, like just a real proliferation of types of people like this, or at least like attempts at people like this. Because when I see her, I also think of that like N-word girl, the one who like got like a little micro famous for a little bit for like making a trad wife video, but like casually dropping the N-word a bunch of time. And like she did an interview with like Owen Schroyer or some person right after that on Alex Jones's network, and she was just like, it's better than going to work at the shoe factory or wherever she was working at. And now she is like a right-wing content creator in Australia. And it's like, that's like, like the only jobs left anymore.
There's a lot of think pieces about things like the attention economy, right? Where like, I think, especially if you're under 30 or under 35 or 40, right? The economy, and I mean, you're seeing with jobs for first time jobs for college graduates, you can't find a job right now if you're graduating from college, it seems to me. And so people are being funneled into jobs or trying to take greater swings in advertising themselves on the internet in order to make money. And it's getting increasingly harder due to the concentration of wealth and due to the corporate concentration that the big tech companies have lobbied for successfulena. As I headlined earlier, a federal judge yesterday sided with Meta against the antitrust suit that was filed by Lina Khan during the Biden years. I don't know. I would be interested to know like what the government's arguments were to this judge at this point, now that Khan is not the one overseeing the investigation, and if that had an impact. I'd imagine that it did. But this was Judge Boasberg, who was like previously kind of a resistance hero. He said that Meta's acquisitions of Instagram and WhatsApp were basically legal and they've already happened already. So, I mean, the ruling, I would say, means like that means antitrust enforcement in the moment makes it even more important, and not doing it retroactively. I'm sure Lina Khan would agree with that. But this is the result of that, too. Like, it's also the corporate concentration of how people can get elevated on these platforms and what people need to do there. And so, we're seeing concentration across sectors that are crowding people out. They're also trying to cut labor costs. That's the number one thing with this AI thing. And so what do you have to do? You have to sell your image. I mean, we're on camera right now doing a version of that in order to make it and try to take bigger swings because of the nature of where we're at right now. Silicon Valley leftists, as a recent college grad, can confirm the job market is brutal right now. Go ahead, Binder.
I was going to say, I keep thinking about the participation medals that they give out and how it's not even analogous. And there's a good reason why it's not. Like, what she claims happened to her is that a trans person denied her a spot on, in getting a certain placement in a swimming competition. That's her claim. And you would think an organization that defends her would do that to other girls who the same thing happened to. But that's not what it does, because this is not a thing. They only give it to people. They said it's not happening. They said those medals go out to just other girls who speak out against trans women in sports.
Right.
But that's not the analogous situation. They can't find anyone to give the medal to because this thing is not happening.
That's such a great point. And it's also exemplified by the fact that the only example they have is someone who came in 5th place. Like, not even someone who would have come in first if not for a trans swimmer. The only example is like not even on the podium, And so this is all they got. Like, this is the lady ballers phenomenon.
And look how it flamed out so much. Are there going to be a million think pieces in papers right now about how the Virginia elections were a repudiation of anti-trans hatred? Because we saw after Kamala Harris lost in 2024, all of these papers and outlets were jumping on the opportunity to say that everyone went too far in the trans debate, supporting trans people. Kamala's for they, them. What does that mean for the trans rights movement? It must be politically toxic. Well, turns out, no, it was more about kitchen table issues and things like the genocide in Gaza, because in Virginia, the Republican candidate ran against Spanberger with aggressive anti-trans ads. That was one of the major thrusts of their campaign and their argument. And Spanberger, centrist, former CIA person, won by double digits overwhelmingly. Look, now there's a lot of factors in that race, of course. That's a state that has, I think, the most federal workers in it. It's either that or Maryland, I would imagine. And many of these federal workers worked in Washington, D.C. and were literally fired by Donald Trump. So they're going to be incredibly motivated to go out and vote against him. But you can definitively say that the anti-trans electoral strategy did not help Earl Sears. So there you go. I mean, where are the think pieces about that? About how this strategy didn't help the Republicans this time. I guess it's only interesting to the New York Times or to other outlets when they can talk about how the left has gone too far in some instance.
We didn't go far enough, I mean, in my opinion.
Trans everybody.
Right.
Exactly. That's the move, right?
That's the agenda.
We're at 100% trans.
We want to make that survey that people wrongly thought 90% of the country was trans. We want to make that reality.
Wait, am I the last person that's not trans?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's
you
just
not trans?
There's so much fear mongering about trans people because it's also just one of those bigotries that the pundit class has a lot of, in spades, because it can also take that thin veneer of liberal feminist coding. And so that's catnip for the Gen Xers and above that are all very prevalent in the hallowed halls of our pundit class and our legacy media outlets.
Yeah. Yeah. And I do think We're seeing an all-out kind of war on this older generation of boomers and some Gen X people who have been hoarding the wealth for so long and who have no concept of public service or care about the world or the environment or anybody around them. Zoran Mamdani being younger, I think, is a part of the story too. But in the rise of some of these younger lawmakers against them, it's such a contrast where you see Donald Trump building this Gilded Age style ballroom and everybody that whole generation trying to encase their wealth and also keep people out or reject people's rights, where I think the tide is turning and the anger towards that is changing, especially as some of those older folks die off. It's a bit of an aside, but let's open up the phones. 646-257-3920 is the number. Sage Sunday, Oprah voice. Look under your seat. You get an HRT, and you get an HRT. Evil woke communist. Being a right-wing grifter seems so easy, too. You could probably make bank having a YouTube channel where you talk about how you used to be a leftist until trans people ruined it, or whatever they go on about, then sell protein pills, and you make for like 50 cents a bottle.
Well, what you don't see because like of your, interest is that there are thousands of right-wing accounts that do just that on Rumble or YouTube. They just don't all make it. Like that's what people who are like trying to get into the industry don't understand. Like it's oversaturated. And so the people like might seem low effort who are at the top, but for whatever reason, like well-connected usually, they've made it there and you might not. So like it's a good way to burn your other opportunities.
Hey folks, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and check out our daily show. We do it every day at 12 p.m. Eastern for about 2.5 hours. We even take phone calls. You should check that out.